I've never seen someone draw on photos and have a business from that.
I think it's totally relatable because a lot of people here feel like they got to follow this path that's been paved by someone else, like freelancer. Now you like illustrating on like magazine covers, people feel like these are the routes that are created. Like there's no room for me to create my own path, blaze my own trail.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's just sitting there? They're too timid to start sharing their work out there, even like pursue something because nobody else is doing it.
I would say that you should just put it out there and not worry about what people think, because if you really like it, then that's what makes it worth it to post online. And that's the same that goes for me. There are a lot of the times where people didn't like my photo online when I posted it, and I really loved it, and that's enough.
The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, we break down the art of healthy hustling, overcoming the inner critic, and growing your creative business. PC family, today on the show for the very first time, we have the incredibly talented Donna Adi. Welcome to the Perspective Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am doing good. And for those who don't know, we've been like trying to set up a date since I think like May to finally get this work. Oh, shit, here's my cat, by the way. And for me, I found your work. It's kind of like a funny story. I found you through Pinterest originally. I'd say about 2 years ago when my son was born. I had some ideas of drawing on him via a photo and like Procreate. And I was just looking for some inspiration. And all of a sudden, you're just like blowing up my Pinterest feed. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, Donna Adi. And then we talked via an email form submission, and now you're here. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so flattered.
Yeah. So for those who don't know and the listeners, give us a brief Wikipedia page summary about yourself. And even I want to get to know you. So that's why you're here today too.
Okay, well, I'm Donna, and I'm best known for my style of art where I combine illustration with photography. A lot of it has to do with beauty and fashion, and storytelling. It's very sarcastic and fun. And my main work is in advertising for fashion and beauty campaigns. And yeah, I started this as a hobby. It turned into a full-time job, and I've worked with brands such as Puma, Nike, Dior, Balmain, and several others. So
Man,
yeah.
I did some digging. Like I went back. I went all the way back. December 24th, 2016 is like the first photo I saw that you were doing like some illustrations on. It was originally like
December?
December 24th, 2016. And it
I
looked
want to
like
see which one that was.
everything else before that was like just like photography.
Yeah, it was. I think my first post was in October, and I deleted that. The first one, I wish I didn't, because it was very, very special. But yeah, it was.
Why'd you delete it? Okay, let's start there. Why'd you delete it?
I think, first of all, I didn't delete it recently. I deleted it like 2 years ago, but I think I felt like I wanted only my best work to be online. So I deleted some old stuff, but it should have been there. Like I still have some really bad work on my Instagram from the beginning and haven't deleted it. And I think I like leaving those things up there now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like they have to archive or delete shit. And I feel like it shows like it documents the growth, it makes you a real human. Like you weren't just like landing these major clients right off the jump.
No, I wasn't. I was definitely like really bad in the beginning.
So like talk about that. So photography was your jam. And where did just like illustrating on photos? And I think I saw a video of you, you use a Cintiq with Photoshop. Is that your process?
I use a Wacom. I have a few tablets actually. I use a Wacom. I have an HP tablet, and I have an iPod. So
Cool.
Depends like what I'm working on.
Okay. Well, how did it even get started? Where did the interest come from in the first place?
So I got started because I was kind of just bored of doing photography. I was working for a bunch of fashion labels, shooting their product, and I wanted to do something that made more sense for me as an artist. And I started drawing on photos, and little did I know that that was would catapult my career, is doing something more original and unique to me as a person. And that while drawing on photos, I was able to break away from the fashion industry while breaking into the art industry while keeping both ends, not becoming only an artist and not leaving photography or fashion. So that's kind of in very short, how it started for me.
Did you always draw? Like, did you always have that little creative itch as growing up or what?
Yeah, I was always an artist from a very young age. I was always a kid with a massive imagination. I was always the weird kid that had the imaginary world and would draw with my imaginary friends. And yeah, I was also super hyper. So I love telling the story where I think that my art and, problem solving personality came from when my mom would take me to restaurants with the family or with her friends. And I was super hyper. So, in order to calm me down, she would scribble on a paper and tell me to turn that into art, like make a character out of it. And that was like how I started to develop this idea of like, how can I form this into a penguin or a guy with a hat on? Like, I got really into it. And I think that's kind of how I developed my art skill, which is like make something out of basically nothing. And that's kind of what I try to do also with my art on photos, where I try to make something that doesn't exist, with like whatever pieces I have.
No, I dig it. And there's something I like to teach and talk about. I call it finding your secret sauce. What helps you stand out from the noise. You got your own personal pan pizza. Everybody else can have the same ingredients, but what can you do that's differently? And the three main ingredients, I got to point to where I'm going with this. The three main ingredients to someone's secret sauce is one, their stories and experiences. You can't replicate that shit from anyone else. Two, your skills and strengths, whether it's learned or inherited naturally. And then three, which I want to talk about with you, is your core identities of your interests, your passions, your values, and belief. And I think all three of these ingredients is just how you stand out. And like from the outside looking in, I'm like, okay, how can I start? I like to start seeing what people's secret sauce is. And illustration, photography, food. You seem to be a big foodie, and like beverages and
Totally.
celebrity cultures, vibrant colors, and like little monster pets. So how did this all come to play? Was this just all intentional or experimental of like, this is the shit I just like? I'm just going to start drawing on the photo. This is what I'm interested in. I'm just going to draw on it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's not intentional because every time I try to be intentional, intentional doesn't work out for me. I really struggle with trying to do something. So for me, I try to do things more intuitively. Like if I feel something, I will draw it. And it's always worked for me to stay more of what's the word? Stay more true to myself and like what I'm feeling as opposed to like what's trending or trying to make something work. And that's kind of how my art started, where I did something that was right for me as a creative person. It wasn't something that I was copying from another person or that I was trying to pretend to be. It was very true to me, my experience in marketing, fashion, advertising, art, fashion. So I think I already said fashion, but
Mhm.
yeah. So it was just that's kind of how it unraveled for me.
And then like the things of like food, like, are you a big foodie and beverage and coffee drinker? Cause that seems to like constantly show up on your artwork. I mean,
Yeah, I am. But also I just love like the art of creating special foods like pastries. I think they're so beautiful, especially here in Paris. I see such beautiful like macaroons and cakes and all of the burgers. I think that's art too. Is just like making something presentable, and I like to like tap into that and then turn them into an emotional creature at the same time. But yeah, I think that I would say I'm not a foodie. I don't like overindulge all the time, but I do love like food and just
illustrating
like
it wise.
the feeling it gives you. I think that's kind of what I go for, is just like the feeling you have when you're having a burger and fries with a friend or to yourself, or an ice cream on a vacation. Like I think it's more about the whole feeling.
It's relatable at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did the process of continuing just doing your thing, like were you expecting anything to come of it, or was it just strictly for fun? And then it just started, catching some attention, and then it just kept rolling with momentum and caught the right eyes, or like describe the whole process.
So I never thought when I started that this was going to be my work. I always kind of became a sellout. Like I was working in fashion and advertising for like over 10 years and broke away to be my own, business and try to like work hard and receive income based off of how hard I work. And so I was selling out where I was doing whatever people would pay me for. So it was to build a website, to take photos of their product, to build a PR plan for them, marketing on Facebook, whatever I could get paid for. I never thought that my art could
You weren't like a
lead.
specialist in anything. just
No,
wherever
I
you
was
could
good
collect
at
that check.
many things. Exactly. I was
Hmm.
very good at many different things. So yeah, I wasn't a specialist in anything. I didn't think the art was a thing. I was selling out in photography. I didn't love it, but people paid me to do it. I was pretty good at it. I've succeeded in creating a lot of viral content for designers. So when I was drawing on photos, it was more like, this is for me. I love this so much. And there was no intention to get paid for it. It was something that I just wanted to keep putting out there. Um, because I genuinely adored every minute of drawing and looking at the work that I created. And yeah, when I got my first inquiry, I was shocked. And I also did not know how to handle it because there was no business model behind it, nor was there at the time in 2016 anyone that was doing this, or at least anyone that I knew that was doing this. I didn't really have a model to follow. So it took me some time to figure it out.
I think the most important thing, two important things you say there that I also like to hit home. People feel so like pressured to monetize their shit right from the jump, and it just suffocates the joy out of it. But you said you started by creating for you with no intention to make money from it.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be like a thing at all. Like I really thought it was just for me and people can enjoy it, but I didn't think it was going to be a business. Because I didn't see that before. Had no idea it could be a business. I've seen like lettering, I've seen mural artists. I've never seen someone draw on photos and have a business from that.
I think it's totally relatable because a lot of people here feel like they got to follow this path that's been paved by someone else, like freelancer. Now you like illustrating on like magazine covers, people feel like these are the routes that are created. Like there's no room for me to create my own path, blaze my own trail.
Yeah,
What would you say to someone who's just sitting there? They're too timid to start sharing their work out there, even like pursue something because nobody else is doing it.
I would say that you should just put it out there and not worry about what people think. Because if you really like it, then that's what makes it worth it to post online. And that's the same that goes for me. There are a lot of the times where people didn't like my photo online when I posted it, and I really loved it, and that's enough. Like it's enough that I'm a really big fan of what I created, and I worked hard on it. And sometimes you just got to stick to that. And if you keep being consistent with it, you'll keep getting better and evolving, and eventually something can come from it. But I guess what matters is that you love it enough to continue.
Mm. So
I don't know if that was an answer.
no, that's perfect. No, people need. It's like people are seeking permission to like do what they want to do instead of feeling like these external outside sources validate them. Seeking that
Yeah.
pleasing other people. I was guilty of that. Like when I first started finding my groove, I would post and then hope that shit would take off, or I would create stuff hoping that it pleased the masses, and then my work wasn't really true to me.
Yeah, I fell into that trap too, where like I started to get carried away with the likes and what people like, and to make content relevant to that, which is also important to pay attention to what people are attracted to, but not to steer too far away from your identity and like what you also want to create. So, for example, I had a stage where I was, just drawing on celebrities often and specific ones, and going with what would go viral. And I kind of started to get miserable because I felt like
Mm.
that's actually not what I stand for. Like, yeah, it's cool to draw a girl in a bikini, but that's not really what I stand for. So like I try to do a lot less of that, even though it's fun. But I feel like I stand for a lot more than, some work that I did just because I knew that it would be
It would pop off.
popular.
Like a certain
Yeah.
celebrity might be in the news or something like that. So how can I leverage
Yeah,
that?
a certain photo also, like just the composition of the image. Like I also know how to pay attention to like what the lighting and the positioning of the model and like what's going to work. I have an eye for that. So sometimes I'll just pick that because I know it would work, but at the same time, I don't know if that's actually something I want to present myself with at all the time.
So
If
where do
that
you
if
get?
that makes any sense.
No, it totally makes sense. So I suck at photography, definitely a weakness of mine. So I steered a
Yeah.
different lane. But I admire people who can actually do it and do it well. But talk about the process of. I read recently that I think on one of your most recent posts that 3 years ago you left your job. You just made the
Yeah.
jump.
Yeah. I
Talk about
quit
like
on
that.
impulse.
I think that's where most people want to get. So like my audience is a bunch of side hustlers, people who are just like pursuing something outside of their day job. Most of them with the pursuits of taking the leap full time. And I like to be
Hmm.
people on to speak to that process, their experience. So like, what was that process like of where you got to the point you were able to make that leap? So 3 years ago. So damn. So you were only like a year into your finding your groove with A
Yeah.
new craft of your side hustle?
Less than a year.
Less than a year. Oh shit. Talk about that.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for just in general, like I'm someone who acts on impulse for the good and the bad. I don't know. Like, I mean, for the most part, it's gotten me very far in life. But I do tend to just do what I feel in the moment and not really take into consideration the consequences, which, by the way, has really taken me far in life. But again, like people do stop me and say, like, you should really think about your decisions
So more
before you do
intuition
that.
versus logic.
Impulse, like
Impulse.
complete impulse. I don't even know if it's intuition. It's more like impulsive decision making. Like, for example, I dropped out of college a semester before graduating because I got a really awesome job. And although my classmates were telling me I should probably stay that semester and get a degree, I, was like, well, I actually got my dream job, which I need a degree for. So I'm going to go back in like a year. And I never went back. And the same thing kind of happened with, I had this like issue at work that I was just not happy with. And I just like woke up one day and went to my boss and said, I'm leaving. And it was very impulsive. And he was very shocked because we used to be very close, me and his family as well. And I remember like being very afraid after that. Like a week later, I was like, what did I do? It's really stupid. I really need a job. Like, why would I quit? Um, but like as I am the person that I am, like, I remember I know I don't know if people agree with this or not, but there was like this opportunity to get unemployment money, and I didn't want that because I never wanted to live off of unemployment. I wanted to, I don't know, just like do it things on my own and never get lazy and just like chill. So
Feel
it
like you
was
have to
like
rely on someone else to still further and progress your own craft and dream.
exactly. I don't know if
Mhm.
I'm too strict, but I'm like I don't want to um profit off of anyone but myself, even though like it's totally fine. People should take unemployment. I don't know why I didn't. I think it was dumb at the time. I could have, had extra pocket money, but I put my foot down and said, I'm gonna work hard for the things that I'm going to create. And I just started working and just I took a job. I remember the first job I got was like shooting product and doing social media management for a diamond company. And then I got another job for a handbag line to create their website and shoot all of their product. And then I got like another job for a evening dress company to shoot their product and create their catalog and build their website. So it was just like I kept getting jobs and like word of mouth, and I had like within a month of leaving my job, I already had a business in line where I was getting more opportunities that I could handle to manage other people's businesses.
For your own personal work.
And this is my own personal work. This is
Yeah.
like I started an agency, let's say,
Mhm.
where I was just taking any job I could get, and I worked really, really hard and like had a few breakdowns because I'm also the kind of person that will, at the time, maybe now too, but I would tell people that I could do things when I couldn't. And then I would get to that moment. I was like, oh shit, like, why did I do that? Like, this is something you need a lot of experience for. But I always showed up, like I remember there was this time for the jewelry company where I've shot for evening lines, and wedding dresses, like a lot of fashion. But I told them that I could shoot jewelry and diamonds, and I didn't know at the time. I was 26. I mean, not that that's very young, but I realized that's macro photography. Macro photography is a whole nother world. Like it is not shooting dresses and lifestyle, and you have to get a specific lens that costs like $1,000. You have to get a set. You have to get specific lighting. You have to get a tripod. Do like like put certain settings on your camera. Lots of post editing that you have to do. It's an insane amount of work. Anyways, I just remember like that being one of my biggest lessons where I first of all felt very proud of myself that I didn't give up, and I never went to the client and said I couldn't do it. I really just like pushed through and probably made 25 cents an hour for the amount of time that I worked on that project. But yeah, that was,
But
I don't
now
know
you
why I
could
told you
shit
that story.
macro. I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
to me, it's like all these jobs. I've had so many shitty jobs along the way, but every little job that I've had that led to like what I get to do full time for my dream job, there was like a nugget tucked away somewhere within there of like saying yes and figuring stuff out along the way, or figuring out web design. Now I can do it here: CSS, HTML, client relationships,
Yeah,
pricing, presenting, speaking. All
yeah,
those
yeah,
like
yeah.
all those golden nuggets tucked away in the turd of a job
Yeah,
now
like
gotten to
fake
where
it
you are
till you
today.
make it. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Say yes and figure it out along the way. Throw yourself in the fire. So now, like, you made that. So 3 years ago, you made the impulse, just deuces, I'm out of here. I get enough client requests right now that I'm saying no because I just don't have the time, or Talk about that impulse of making the leap to do your thing full time.
Oh, I didn't do the leap to do my thing full time. I didn't even think about doing a thing full time. I literally just quit the job. There was literally nothing behind it. Sounds really dumb. And when I quit, I also realized that was so stupid. What
Uh,
were they thinking? Because I also had the dream job. I was like head of business development for one of the biggest bridal companies in, like, I think top 10 in the world. So that was really, at the time, I felt like it was really dumb. Today, it was the best move I've ever made. I'm so grateful for that, like for not staying comfortable, because I could have stayed comfortable. I had a great position, a great salary, great standards of like living.
the
Uh,
golden handcuffs.
oh, I felt like I was in a golden cage, and I loved my boss, although we butted heads sometimes. I loved him and looked up to him, and I'm still very close to his mom, who's the head of the company. She's designing my wedding dress when I'm getting married. So it was something where I had a wonderful situation, and I left anyways. And um, yeah, I could have still been there today, because there's really no reason to leave. It's a great company to work for.
What was your next move after that? Like, when did you do your thing full time?
Oh, my next move. Oh, so when I quit the job, it was actually I had like a 1 month to like figure it out. So I stayed there for 1 month later. And so then I started like doing walk-ins into companies. Like I just like would see a store that I liked their clothing, and I'd be like, "Hi, like I'm Donna. I help brands get recognized internationally. I'd love to help you with your work. Here's some of my work. I can help you do X, Y, and Z. This is what you're missing. This is what I can do to help progress that." And I got like every walk-in that I did actually worked out for me. And that's also how I got my job at the bridal company that I was working for. I did a walk-in, and the designer loved me and hired me on the spot. So I think that, I think when I was younger, I was very charming, and like
Bold.
excited for, yeah, bold, and like very excited for opportunity. I think now I'm 30, and I'm a lot less like that kid that I was, when I moved to Israel. I was 23, and I was like very jumpy and excited. Anyway, so that's kind of how I had that 30 days of like before I left the job, and I started just do like walk-ins, and I got a few clients, and then that was it. That's all I needed was one or two clients, and then it started to unravel for a year after that.
So, in the meantime, right now, like, are you still doing all of that? Like, writing
No,
okay, you're strictly just like illustration,
yeah, I
doing
dropped
your
that.
thing.
The second that my art started to take off for me, I dropped it all. Like I remember I was working for, at the time, a wonderful jewelry company that I also became good friends with owners. And I remember when I quit, like they also didn't want me to leave, and I had to tell them like I have to leave, because if I don't see what's going to happen with this art career, like I might be making the biggest mistake of my life. And they got it, and that was like I cut clean of just art when I really quit everything.
So, when you went full time, did you have like, I guess, a savings, 3 to 6 months of expenses? Did you have like a lineup of um, clients knocking at your door? Like, describe that. Like, where were you at financially, as transparent as you can be, and just like with clients lined up? Because I'm not
So
that big of a risk taker when it comes to just like, okay, I don't got money in the bank, I don't got a safety net, so that's different for me.
I guess that's, for me though, is like I was very good at saving my money. So
Mm.
for that year, I worked a lot of jobs for the first year, and like nonstop working jobs. So I saved a lot of money from those jobs, and I was doing such a diverse amount of things where building someone's website costs probably more than writing you a blog post. So I got like paid for a big job, and then I got paid for a small job, and I just like kept saving. And I guess I quit around the time where I felt like I could live off of this amount of money for at least 6 months. I'm
Okay, so,
fine.
so you act on impulse, but still you had logic within there before you like made the
Maybe it
big
was
pivot.
subconscious. I never recall thinking about the financials. Like I never thought about like, will I, starve tomorrow if I do this? But I think it was more like subconsciously I knew that I could do it. Like I never felt like I can only do this now because I have money saved. But yeah, maybe subconsciously I knew that I was okay.
So where are you at today? So it's just strictly like publications kind of things too. I mean, like, where do you want to branch out, and how do you make time for personal work? There's three questions all in one. Let's just take it one at a time. Sorry, where are you at today with like your main work?
So I'm still doing a lot of artwork in advertising, publications, and commercial work, also mainly in the fashion industry. And I wish that I had more time for personal work. I don't know if you can see there's a canvas behind me. It's been there for 2 weeks. I'm trying to get around to painting on it. Hopefully that will happen tomorrow because that's when I plan on doing it. Um, but yeah, I think that personal is something that's very important to me. Don't have time for it because I have, a lot of different hats that I'm wearing right now. And
Is it
I started
just
work.
you, or do you have like interns or anyone you delegate anything to, or is it just like you all solopreneur?
So I have a social media assistant that's helping me manage like the social media right now. And I have a lawyer, I have an accountant. So I have some help. I have a manager. I do have some help, which is nice. I have an agent.
Oh
Um,
shit, you got an agent. Okay, so
yeah.
he or they or she, whoever, is doing a lot of the hefty lifting, so you could just like create in terms of like
I,
client acquisition.
there's not that much heavy lifting. I think the agent's pretty transactional, where they'll probably just sign my contract and also pay me,
Okay.
and also I guess pitch me as an artist.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of other heavy lifting that I'm doing that's not like just that.
Can
Um,
you describe that just so people understand like, hey, if you want to pursue your dream full time, it's not just all like sunshine and rainbows and creating all the time, nonstop. Like there's way more behind the scenes to it.
yeah, I mean, when I started, I was just creating Instagram posts. Like there
Hmm.
was no Instagram stories at the time, so I don't know. I was doing like one post every 2 days. It was nice. Now I am actually at a different stage in my career where I'm doing trying to upload on Instagram every day. I started a TikTok channel, which I'm trying to upload on every day. And then I have a Pinterest channel, which has like 2 million plus views a month that I'm trying to like move forward with. So these are all different departments where I have to continuously create content for.
Hmm.
YouTube channel that I've been pushing. Then I have client work. That's like a huge thing that I didn't have 2 years ago. So I'm managing on a monthly basis several clients a month. So there's a lot of communications, negotiations, back and forth of like production that we have to do, editing, just like even like briefing conversation that takes hours when we start a project. Like, what's the brand voice and what branding we're doing and what's the color palette and like why are we doing this campaign? So like that's something that also takes time. Um, what else? Contracts take a lot of time. Financials, making sure you get paid and following up with clients on payment, which is something that's very difficult with specific clients.
Does your agent get to handle most of that dirty work?
It depends. If he brought the job, then he
Okay.
manages
Okay. So you
that.
still
If
bring in your own side stuff potentially too. Okay.
Yeah, I still have like a business that I built outside of the agency, and so yeah, that's how that works. And what else? There's just a lot that goes into it. And now I'm working on a fine art collection at the gallery in Paris. So I'm producing a collection for that. So it's just about what I've learned, time management and figuring it out. But like I'm also at a much different level than the naive person that I was when I was just drawing on photos and posting it 3 years
But that's how it starts though.
ago.
And I think another key thing, people suck at time management. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people are like, I just don't have the time. How do you find time to do it? I'm like, well, I mean, you say you're busy, but really that's just saying what you really want to chase and what's important to you isn't a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I've also been that person before where I say I don't have time, but like, yeah, I could have not been on Facebook for 1 hour and done the job I needed to do. I believe that everybody has time. It's just about planning your day accordingly and your hours accordingly, and also batching, specific jobs together and like learning. So I've learned a lot by watching YouTube channels of time management, productivity, how to avoid distractions. I think that one of the main reasons why people say they don't have time is because they're very distracted or find
Mm.
distractions when they have to get things done. So it's very important to just take that on yourself to learn how to manage your time accordingly so that you can also enjoy your evenings and not have to work all throughout the night.
It's like no one's gonna make your dream happen for you. So, I mean, if you can't put the time in or figure out how to work around your own schedule, shit's never gonna pop off.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed,
S-
agreed.
So, you don't have time much for personal work. What are some more dream things you want to get into? I saw recently like gallery work. Like tell us about like the transition of getting into that. What's the potential and the possibility that you want to pursue in this route?
So this is actually like a long-term dream of mine to be in galleries. I also am unbelievably excited about the opportunity. But it's a whole different niche and world to be in. Like this is when I'm creating something, like this is going to be on somebody's wall for maybe a decade, maybe a lifetime. Like you
Vastly
don't
different
know.
than the publication advertising world. Like complete
Yeah,
pivot.
yeah, yeah, completely. I mean, the advertising stuff that's going to live in the digital space for a long time. You know, when people need, like, I don't know, inspo. I know a lot of people put my work on their Pinterest boards for like inspo. So like that lives there. But like this is different. Like this lives in a physical world. This is like um,
It truly
e-
means something to someone to flex it within their
exactly,
household. Yeah.
exactly. And so another thing that I like about this is that, I mean, I remember when I sold my first piece recently, I couldn't believe that someone bought something that I decided on. Like there wasn't, a specific brand telling me we need X, Y,
There
and
was
Z.
no
We're not
brief
happy.
to it.
There was no brief. There was no editing because the client wanted something else. And there was no direction and kind of just like molding me to become what they wanted. It was just me doing what I wanted to do. And I'm given the opportunity now to, I know I will evolve. Like whatever I'm creating now is probably going to be very different than when I'll get much more comfortable in a year from now. But I'm really excited that someone wants to buy something that I thought of, that I decided on without the influence of art director, So
Hmm.
it's very exciting, and I'm really thrilled to explore this part of my career and this new chapter in my career.
How did you get that opportunity or how did you manifest that? I mean, it's got to stem from some type of personal work, though. You found time to make a personal piece and a
No, I didn't.
relationship.
I wish. I wish I made a personal piece. I still haven't made much personal work. I'm starting to now though, because it's on my vision board is to like make more art that I want to make. But the way that it came about was actually the gallery wrote to me. I always wanted to be in galleries, and it's been like I write at the beginning of every single year what I want to do
Mm.
this year. And for the last 2 years, or maybe even three, one of the things I wanted to do is be in galleries. I don't have time to pitch myself to galleries, and it takes a lot of energy because most galleries already have their artists, and there's a roster of people that want to get in there, and it's a very competitive place to be. So with this gallery, the owner of the gallery actually DM'd me on Instagram and asked me. And I remember because I wrote my goals for 2020, and one of them was to be in galleries, and also for 2019 didn't happen then. But I was just so excited that I had this opportunity, and um, then the whole coronavirus thing happened, and there was just a lot of things that threw me off this year. But she didn't give up on me. She's just like, "Where's my art? Send me a piece of art. I really want to sell it at my gallery." And I think I made her wait 6 months, and she's like, I was sure that she would be like uninterested because I really didn't show up to the occasion because I was also nervous. Like I never did this before. It's very intimidating. But she just kept messaging me, and I really appreciated her commitment to me and her belief in me as an artist that would sell. And anyways, I made one piece for her, and she didn't even finish unwrapping it. My fiance dropped it off. She was unwrapping it while some buyers were in her gallery, and they watched her unwrap it, and they're like, "Oh, Donna, we love her," and they bought the piece like on the
Shit,
on the spot.
right
Yeah,
on the spot. And you're like, damn it, why
yeah,
did I wait so long?
yeah. I was so mad at myself. Like, why didn't I send 5 pieces there the same day?
So like that
Yeah.
piece, for example, though, where was the inspiration if it wasn't personal work?
So the inspiration with that was I have this like obsession, nostalgic obsession of like the old days. And I mean, that's something I really want to create and need to figure out how. I probably won't be able to do it as much as I'd like to because, it has to do with a lot of like old school celebrities. So I want to pivot and maybe do more like historic things. But like that has to do more with like a nostalgia and the love for old Hollywood. And, um, I grew up on old Hollywood films with my grandpa, and like I've always said that one day I want to make a tribute to him and create a collection on these actresses of the past. It's a lot more complicated than I thought it would be, but that's kind of that's where that one came from. But again, like that was also just a test piece. I didn't really know if it was going to sell. I produced it, and said, let's see what happens. Like now when I'm going to make other stuff, it will be a lot more calculated because, you know, or at least the first few will probably be a bit more of a test. And then after I get my rhythm, it will be more calculated.
Because that's a whole new process of working in like print or publication. I mean, maybe you got some larger print files, but now you're working on like Canvas and printing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like your whole process is still similar, but just different. Like talk about like the differences of moving from this digital world over
Well,
to more of a print ready
that's
world.
that's digital. I'm moving to the canvas, which is why there's canvas behind me.
Hmm.
But as
But
far
like
as like,
digital printing on the canvas or actually like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's digital printing on the canvas. No, it's not even a canvas; it's plexiglass. So it was printed on a glass, and it's very pretty. But if to answer your question, painting on a canvas, to me, it's very similar to painting digitally because it starts with several different layers. You can't edit your work as easily as you can with digital, where I can't like take someone's head and make it more in proportion to their head
Yeah.
after I already finished the piece. But it's very similar where you're just like adding more and more layers and you can't really go backwards. But I also feel like there's beauty in traditional painting as well.
So, but your stuff isn't going to be true. It's still going to be like your style, what you're currently doing of like digitally drawing, illustrating on a photo, or is it truly
Um,
analog now? I guess I have your piece up right here. I guess I could take a look at it.
that one's digital,
Okay.
but
What
like
are you
as
going to
I
be
said,
pursuing?
I don't know. Look, as I said, I'm in a new journey now. I haven't defined yet what it will be. I mean, I know that I'll make a lot of digital prints for people to buy, maybe even limited edition prints. But I also want to experiment with painting classically and seeing how that will be. Like whether I, transfer a photo onto a canvas and paint on it or just do full paintings. I don't know what will happen. Um, but like my plan is just to try a bunch of things and in a year from now, I'll know what this will evolve into. But for now, it's just trial and error.
Yeah. It's like you're just walking into a big new play box of new world to experiment and find your next thing.
Yeah, pretty
That's pretty
much.
dope.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it too.
God, you got like 200,000 followers. People are going to be eating up the chance to having like print on demand prints or something to own something of
I
yours in
hope
their
so.
house. Oh man, I have no
I wish.
doubt. Just another a revenue stream for your fans out there. One last question before we go into like rapid fire. So, what's
Okay.
one piece of advice you'd give yourself when you were just starting off? You know, that person who like deleted your old post from like October
Oh,
2016, you know, when you're just starting off and like illustrating on photos.
my advice to my old self would be to calm the F down and chill out, because you're going to be fine because you've always been fine. Like you work hard and you're going to make it. And if you keep working hard, you're going to see what's going to happen because you're not a quitter. And that's kind of what I wish I would tell myself because I remember at the beginning, I was very anxious, nervous, stressed out because I quit my job and I didn't know what I was doing. And as I said, I was just taking any job I could. I was really good at many things, but I didn't have one thing. There was not one thing that was good at. It was many. So I was very confused with my identity and what I would do. And I just wish that I obviously everything you're much smarter in retrospect. And I just wish that I was more confident in my potential, but I feel like nobody is because you don't know where you're going. I didn't know that when I, had like 300 followers on Instagram when I started and no one cared about me, in the beginning that I would one day be okay. I didn't know that. So I was very stressed out about proving myself and, proving my way in the industry.
Yeah, see, it's a piece of advice for yourself, but it's also like pretty much you're just writing like a permission slip to everybody listening right now who's like that same past version of I sucked with confidence too. I was too worried about validation or getting that clout from someone. I'm like, and that held me back from like diving deep into the shit that I truly cared about. So
Mm.
yeah, definitely vibe to that. Rapid fire then. The most serious question you're ever going to be asked: if you were on death row, what would your last slice of pizza be?
Pineapple with ranch dressing on the side.
Anywhere specific?
Anywhere specific? I get to choose where?
I mean, any place? You got a go-to place that serves
Uh,
this pizza, or do you make it
oh, you're
yourself?
saying where? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, That's a
Or do you
hard
make it
question.
yourself? Like your favorite
I don't know.
pizza?
Last time I had pineapple pizza was from Domino's. So
All right, all right. I'll fucks with Domino's. Domino's is low key pretty
it's been a
good.
while. Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't
that
have pineapple pizza in Paris. Like at least if they have it, it's with meat on it, and they don't like let me change it because you can't change the chef's menu here.
it's like,
But or the places that I've been to at least.
all right. Well, if let's see, if you could have lunch with one person dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a good question. Dead or alive?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like I have so many now I can't think of them. I guess like if I have to answer right away, Hedy Lamar would be one of them. No, no, no. Mm, wait, but if they're alive, then I have a few people I'd like to speak to.
Yeah, this is your world.
Oh, that's tough. Okay. I guess I would like to speak to this like female Renaissance artist who was one of the only females. And I'd like to know like how was it to be an artist during this time where it's a male dominated industry and no one, she was very bold and her name is Artemisia. And I really would like to talk to her and know like how she struggled through it and why she chose to, be a Renaissance artist during this time and what challenges she went through and what she's learned through it because I find her to be a hero.
Though, if you were reincarnated, what would your new career path be outside of art and photography?
Probably be a writer for novels.
Novels, fiction or
Yeah,
nonfiction?
fiction.
Fiction. What's your
Yeah.
favorite kind of genre in fiction then?
Um, I think I like historical fiction a lot, like a magical historical fiction, like based on real stories, but I think it's, has some more interesting depths to it.
All right, I'm just throwing this one in there. What's your favorite book then?
My favorite book, it's a bit cheesy, but The Other Boleyn Girl was like, I read it 3 times. I guess I would have to say that's my favorite
Cheesy would have
book.
been like Twilight series. So,
Okay, so never mind.
do you believe in alien life forms or other existing life, I guess, outside of our solar system?
No, but I'd like someone to prove to me that it exists because I don't believe in
Same
it.
with
But
like ghost and paranormal, all of it. You don't believe unless
yeah,
you see
no,
it.
no, no, no. Unless someone like really proves it to me, which by the way, I'd rather not like have to think about that. So
See,
yeah,
that's
I'd
the shit
rather
my
not. I
mind
have
goes
enough.
crazy about.
No, I have enough things to worry about in my life and think about. Like, there's enough on this planet right now that I need to like keep my mind on.
That's
So
fair. That's fair.
yeah.
Okay, totally fair. And last one, if you were stranded on an island, what are 3 things you have to have to refrain from dying from boredom?
Oh, boredom. We could have food and water is like automatic.
That considered like the necessities.
So pen and paper, 100%. So is that 2 or is that 1?
We'll combine it into one for you because
Okay.
you can buy them in a bundle, so that's fine.
Okay, pen and paper. Can I have a computer?
This is your world. This is your
Okay.
island.
So I'll have a computer. I'll have like my art supplies, pen and paper. And I will also take my iPhone with headphones so I can listen to music and go running.
All right, word. Where can people go to follow you online and support you?
You can follow my Instagram at Donna_Adi, ADI. You can find me on the same, like, what is it called?
Platforms, social media.
Platform, yeah, on Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest. What else am I on? TikTok. Yeah. So I'm pretty much now trying to be on every single platform, but I just started YouTube and it's very, very fun. So I'll hopefully be posting more on there.
I'll make sure to link everything up in the show notes for this one. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so glad we could finally make this shit happen.
Me too, finally.
I know, right? Well, I appreciate you. Look forward to seeing what the hell you kick out in this next decade, and let's keep in touch.
Yes.
All right,
Thank
peace
you.
out. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.